Welcome to Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view, from the Casablanca studio in Golden, Colorado. Hosted by Art Carlson. At 4'6", liberals fear him, and conservatives love him. He's definitely a giant among men. Now here's your host, Art Carlson.
Welcome to another episode of Art's Place, conservative talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. The charges against General Flynn have been dropped, and we're going to talk about post-COVID. What's going to happen to this country after all this is done? So let's welcome my guest, Lloyd Mendenhall. Welcome, Lloyd.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is. Hello, Art. I'm telling you, if I hadn't just rolled over and seen it flash on my iPad, Art's Place going live, and I'm going, oh, crap, this is Sunday. Oh, I literally just woke up, as you can probably tell.
Yeah. You got your coffee there so you could...
I don't have anything. No, I don't have anything. I came running in here, fired this up, and jumped in the chair.
Oh, good.
Oh, my God. Yeah, it's just... it's been... we've had kind of a rough week with Judy, so it's you know...
I'm sorry.
Well, you know, it is what it is. It's what we deal with in life, you know, part of growing old. But anyways, yeah, we... had a few doctor's appointments, and one of them didn't turn out quite like we wanted.
Oh, darn, man. Sorry to hear about that. But
well,
hey, we're praying for you guys. You know, you got a lot of friends out here and YouTube. And,
I know.
Facebook and stuff.
I've heard from
so we're here for you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, so let's see.
I completely. So I apologize if I'm not all here.
I had a week off last week. I was up in South Dakota visiting a friend of ours, Ron Lockwood of RL Photography, was invited up there. Did some fishing and had a really good time. Sadly, the fishing wasn't all that great, but it was still beautiful up there. The morning was perfect, and then the wind started picking up and the clouds rolled in and it started raining, and then we had some hail. So that was why there was no show last week. So anyway, our first topic, we're going to talk about General Flynn. It's about time. Glad they dismissed the case. The only bad thing is this guy's reputation has been ruined by the previous administration. And
did the judge agree with the prosecution to drop the case, because they said the judge still had to put his okay on it? I haven't heard. Did they?
Well, I did not know about that. All I heard was the case was dropped, and so hopefully the Justice Department will go after those folks that started this baloney. You know?
Yeah, they need to, because this is a man. They wanted him out of the way, and I think the reason is because they knew they couldn't get past the front door with him in position he was at. You know. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to be able to get, they wanted to be able to get more dirt on Trump, and with him at the front door, they weren't going to be able to get in as deep as they wanted, because he'd catch up to it real quick.
Yep, and the tactics they used, I mean, lying to him and intimidating him to make a false confession. And that's the part that really bugs me is that it really
Yeah.
gives, I mean, it really gives lawyers a bad name because it just
Yeah. Well,
shows you that there are crooked lawyers that are in the Department of Justice that will do anything to
yeah.
destroy a person. And
Yeah. See, there's the Supreme Court years ago upheld the fact that police can use lies as a way of interrogation, and they
mhm,
can use, you know, everything up to entrapment. But
right.
they can set up situations like that. But
Mhm,
for the lawyers of the Justice Department to be doing that, now
mhm,
that's a different story. That's in violation of their sworn uh, it's what they swear into being a person of the court. You
mhm,
know, and so I hope they go after him. I hope they,
yeah.
and I think that any monies they get
Mhm,
in any lawsuits come out should go right to him to build, put him back in where he could. This is a 3-star general, you
yeah.
know.
Mhm,
Uh, Even
yeah.
Alexander Haig, as goofy as he was never treated that badly, you know.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if he could get back his pension, I mean, with
yeah.
that guilty plea, he loses his pension.
Well, if the guilty plea is removed, his pension will come back to him, and he should get all of his back pay.
Right.
Uh, that uh, because they chose not to, because he's that's what started this. He decided to pull his guilty plea, and that's why all this went to court because even though he pled guilty, he had the right before sentencing to undo it,
Right.
to pull it back, and with that off of his record, and now that the Justice Department says we won't be prosecuting because this was under this basically entrapment
Mhm.
and or worse, and I think they're going to uh, they'll they'll have to give him his pension back,
Yeah.
and they'll probably give it back all the way to the point that they'll have to give him his back pay, you
Right.
know, because he's no longer he's he's no longer considered a felon,
Right.
you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, and
they should give it back to him.
last I think it was Monday when I was coming back from South Dakota, I was listening to one of the talk shows, conservative talk shows, where they had Flynn's new lawyer because boy, his old lawyers they really screwed things up for him, and they
Oh yeah,
basically
yeah,
told him, you better take the plea if you don't want your son to go to jail, and
yeah, yeah.
it was just
And
really,
those are the kind of tactics.
yeah,
Those are the kind of tactics that need to be stopped by the DOJ. I mean, yeah, there's a certain amount of that in the investigation the police officers can do to. Uh, they still can't coerce a
yeah, they can't
confession
coerce
out of a
confession.
person.
Yeah, confession.
Yeah,
And using a threat of a family member to go to jail. I mean,
it's
that's a
coercion.
threat. That's coercion,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's
that is a
coercion
whole
straight up.
lot different than telling the defendant, if you don't do this,
You got your thumbprints.
you'll get a even bigger charge down the road,
Yeah,
just to try to get
yeah,
him to confess to a lesser crime and
yeah.
get a
Well, and the sad thing is there should have never been a start, and to begin with, this should have never been an investigation. You know,
Yep.
That's
And that's what burned me up about the first couple years of the Trump administration when the Republicans controlled both houses or both chambers. They could have stopped this, and they didn't do that.
yes,
Yeah.
because of all the flipping never Trumpers that were in Congress at the time.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
those. Well,
Yeah.
they need to go join another party.
Yeah.
You know, like the Communist Party or something. I don't
Right.
know. Leave the United States. You know, he's our duly elected president. Get over it.
Hmm.
You know, just because you didn't win the nomination or your buddy that was running for the nomination didn't win it, doesn't mean you don't have to represent the people that elected you. And that's why they lost. That's why a lot of them quit and allowed Democrats to get their seats. You know, and that's why a lot of them lost because they were doing nothing. You know, 2 years of absolute nothing. You know,
Well, not.
but
They did get a lot of economic things done that got the economy really moving. Because
well, that's true. Yeah, but
when the Democrats came into power, when they took the House, then the wheels started to slow down because they didn't want to work with this president. They only got a very little done when the Democrats took over the House.
oh yeah, yeah.
And well, case in point, look at this stimulus package. And the Democrats were trying to throw everything in there, including the kitchen sink, to try to get what they wanted. And, the sad thing about it is they still got something that they wanted. They didn't lose out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the stupid thing is under Obama had this hit, and had the press elevated it to the position that it is. They would have we'd all be sitting at home right now getting $5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have to work. They'd be sending it to us. They would have passed it the first week that this happened,
Yep.
But because they love to tax and spend, and this would have been a way to keep us, because I've seen it by more people, I'm getting paid, what I get paid to work plus an extra $600 a week for staying at home.
Yep.
What's my incentive to go back to work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the incentive ought to be, well, let's open up, and these are people that live in Democrat controlled states.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on.
Well, here in Colorado, they're starting to open up. Yesterday, I noticed the shopping centers were starting to fill up. I noticed Hobby Lobby had a lot of cars in the parking lot where for about 6 weeks there were no cars there because they were closed down. Same with Joanne Fabrics. They were closed. All those types of stores where a lot of people go, they were all closed except for the fast food restaurants. Certain restaurants, they have takeouts. Grocery stores, they were open. Liquor stores were still open. Everything else was closed down unless it had to be an essential business to stay open. And the company that I work for, they opened up a couple weeks ago, and sadly they were only open for 2 days because one of our coworkers came down with COVID, and they had to shut down for the rest of the week, and they started it back up this last week, and they said that Well,
I don't want to
besides
get
the
too close
mask,
to
you're going to
get
have to wear.
exposed.
You're going to have to. They're going to take your temperature in the parking lot before you can enter the building. So it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see what it's like when I go back to work tomorrow because I was on vacation all of this past week. So,
Okay, so you were on. Were you exposed or not to
well,
that person that?
no, because his station was far enough away from my station, and I never got with less than 6 feet away from him because, uh, yeah, I walked by him, but he was kind of far enough away. I never came
Yeah.
in contact with him. So they
Yeah.
what they did is I think when they closed the company down, they basically disinfected the place. And then I realized, oh, I left my lunch on the shelf where I was. I hope my lunch pail's still there when I get back.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's Oklahoma didn't really. We didn't shut down. Have massive shutdowns. We didn't have stay-at-home orders. Our governor issued a safer-at-home order,
Uh-huh.
and certain places were recommended. Now, like in Tulsa and Oklahoma City, pardon me, where they have the larger population. Well, those places, they had it was up to the mayors to,
Right.
and so they did a semi-lockdown, and they're now coming back out of it. Tulsa, Broken Arrow opened up week before last. I think Tulsa,
Right.
I think they're in the stage 2 of opening right now. But funny thing, she had a bunch of tests this week, and
Right.
we had to go up to the big hospital, St. John's Hospital, which is where our doctor practiced. It's Ascension now, Ascension St. John's,
Right.
and but anyways, we knew where we were going, so we parked up on the 5th parking deck, walk over, get the elevator up to the 6th floor, where we had to check in, and then go up to the 8th floor where they do the test.
Right.
Get up there, we take the elevator up to the 6th floor, go over to where you come off the elevators, and there's 2 doors there. And it says, you must enter through the lobby. They're locked.
Uh-huh.
So we go all the way back down. Then we have to go, and we left early enough because I just knew something like this would happen.
Right.
So we're standing in line, and we have to stand in line. They got the tape there, And what was funny is they didn't do a temperature check on us that I know of.
Right.
But they did ask us, had we been exposed, blah, blah, blah. And we hadn't been. We, and they were only going to let Judy up. And I said, I need to go with her because, one, unless you guys one of you two want to escort her up there and answer all the questions for her, they're going to get a little confusion. She's had 3 mild strokes and has Parkinson's, and sometimes her short-term memory ain't what it should be,
Right.
And so they asked me the same questions, gave me a little sticker to put on, and I went up there, and when we got up there, you had to push a button, and they came out and took us back.
Right.
And so that was the experience. But when we went to the doctor's office here in town over at the oncology clinic, the cancer clinic here in town, they actually had somebody right there at the front door, and you stepped in, she stood up and walked up, took your temperature.
No.
And if your temperature was good, well, you could come in. Ours was. So but when we went back to see the doctor, they said, you can't go back there. I said, well, then he's going to have to come out here, because she says, I won't know what to say to him or what medicines I take, just, he takes care of all that for me. I said, I'm her caretaker,
Right.
and so they let me go back, and I'm glad they did, because the outcome wasn't 100% what we were looking for. So she she'd either got it wrong or just broke down and lost it, So,
Right.
But I mean, we're still in that position where
Right.
we don't know 100% yet. So we're
Right.
still one more test, and hopefully this one comes back negative.
There you go. So, I wonder what the outcome of all this COVID thing. Are we going to go back to normal? I mean, what's the post COVID outlook going to look like? Are we going to be wearing masks outdoors like they do in Japan, or are we? I'm worried about the places like restaurants, nightclubs, comedy clubs. Are they going to space out the audience like every 6 feet, or is? I mean,
Well, I think once there's been a vaccine, and once all this is over and we see where we stand, I think. Yeah, thanks, Steve. I hadn't said much about it to anybody, but anyways, I think once the everything starts dropping, and then they really start evaluating: was this as bad as it was? Was it really necessary? I think it could have been worse because it was so contagious, and it was my opinion is China was they had so many elderly that they needed to thin the crops a little.
right,
And that's why they started it. It just got out of control. And they were trying to get back at us for something, But anyways, no, I think we're going to see smaller groups, but the American people are not going to get, they're not going to give up their rights that easy.
right.
We've seen that all over the place, and I will say that about Oklahoma. We didn't, we accepted the safety of it and did what was necessary, but I think people are going to be wearing masks a lot more often. I know I will be,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
did Oklahoma have any of the protests like you saw in some of the other capitals around the country?
No, because what was funny, and it was even from a girl that is a conservative, that she used to be one of Judy's healthcare, used to be her physical therapist.
Right.
She was mad at the governor for not shutting things down. And I just said, why? I said, this is, if you take safety precautions, and of course she did take safety precautions. That's what upset her. That's why she was upset, because she was around patients all the time and in a hospital. She couldn't be around her parents and thus her daughter, because her daughter stayed with her parents during the daytime.
Right.
And she couldn't expose her daughter and then expose her parents, because her dad had just had heart surgery or something, so he was, So the only time she got to see her daughter was to wave at her from the window as she drove by every day after work, And it's, I like Steve said, it's not as bad as it is. A lot of it is just, it was a way for some of these Democratic governors to try and take away our privileges.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to start counting the deaths on the flu like they did this? Now, they do here in Oklahoma. They'll say on the news, well, this year's flu count is up to 225 people dead. But one of the things about Oklahoma is, they had that chart and it showed, light pink to light red and it just tell it was, your state was just really red as far as how bad, it's the chart of how many infected people. Well, Oklahoma stayed in that low end and that light pink color for a long time. Then all of a sudden we went up, across, and dropped back down. We're back down to where we were, you know. And yet you still got states like some of these other states that their numbers are still way up there. Ours has already started. We were late in going up and quick in coming down. And we did not shut down. You know,
right.
We wore masks. You guys have seen my videos. I wore gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And I've quit wearing the gloves now, but I do have a bottle of sanitizer next to me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I use that every time I have to deal with, you know, and I don't deal one-on-one with somebody unless it's at the grocery store. And even the grocery store's got permanent little picture stand here now. And
right.
So I have an idea something like that's probably going to, you know, they're going to have somebody and they're going to limit to, like our grocery store is limited to 156 people at a time. You know?
Yeah. You know, I was up in South Dakota. South Dakota was, I think, one of the only or one of the few states that didn't go on shutdown. It was voluntary. And so it was interesting. We're going through Wyoming. They had a thing where you could go through Wyoming, but it couldn't be your destination. And Ron was worried that they'd make me turn around and go back to Denver. And fortunately for me, that wasn't the case because, you know, how would truckers get through? Because, you know, you got to have transportation going through the state to get all the supplies and everything to all the stores in the state. But,
there were exceptions to everything. So, you know, there was, you know, the truckers were obviously exempt, you know, because they do have to send supplies. But to go on traveling from state to state on a vacation, now they might frown on that. You know, it wasn't an essential need.
Yeah,
it was to you.
Yeah,
but it wasn't to the rest of us. But that's the kind of stuff we're going to have to watch out for because they're going to do that to snatch away our civil rights.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think.
Like Steve says, they want to have mail-in ballots.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, this past week, some of the comedy club owners, somebody set up a GoFundMe at a website called Tip Your Waitress or Your Waitstaff .com.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a GoFundMe, and you could donate money to the comedy club of your choice. And fortunately, one of them that was like right at the top was the Comedy Castle in Michigan, which was one of my favorite clubs that I got to perform at. And so I gave them a few bucks, helped them out, and this will help out a lot of the comedy clubs. But the ironic thing is I didn't see any Colorado clubs in that. Most of them were from the East or West Coast, you know.
Yeah.
Like in New York and down in Florida, and then over in California and up in Seattle. So there were a few clubs in the middle part of the country, but I didn't see anything for any. We've got the Comedy Works. That's one of the main clubs here, and they have 2 rooms in Denver. And then there's the Improv here in Denver, and that's it. And then there's a comedy club down in Colorado Springs. But
right.
How many of these clubs are going to be gone after this? I mean,
Well, that was one of the things too. After we went up for that one test up in Tulsa, that's where we used to go for her oncology treatments too.
Right.
Was at that hospital, and afterwards we'd always stop off at Burger Street, which was a hamburger place there in the Tulsa area, and I pulled in there and they were closed. I mean, the windows were boarded and they were literally closed. And I don't know if they went out of business or what happened, but I was just going, so we went to Whataburger, and I'm telling you, it's not as good as Freddy's, and it's not as good as Burger Street. So,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, that was, and they'd been open for a long time, and then just suddenly they were, boom, closed. And it hadn't been that long since we'd been there, maybe 6-7 months. But did they shut down because of COVID? I don't know, but it looked like they just went bankrupt. They just pulled everything down. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of those places I think we're going to lose out on. But I think it'll help the economy because look at be less competition. People will be making, give people a chance. I call this the Great Reset. We need to go back and reset some things.
Yeah. And I think it'll be a big reset for the comedy industry because, all the clubs where you had club owners that weren't, I would say, really didn't have their heart into the business. They just saw it as, a way to make money, and they didn't see it as something special, that you're developing talent and nurturing comics. And I worked at a lot of clubs that were like that, and after a while it just kind of drains you. You feel like you're just another piece of meat, where I worked hard to try to present myself to club owners. Hey, I'm different. I am unique. How many little people with a disability are in this profession? Not very many. And that's the key to comedy. You need to get people that are unique and different, and that's what separates the really good comics from the average and bad comics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to have the hook, that's it. And you got to have the support of the clubs and the, stuff like that.
Yeah, and
just reading some of the chat, yeah.
And here in Denver, I mean, it's changed. It's when I first got into it, the club owners, they were comedians themselves, and they were very supportive of the comics. And then over time it changed where you got new owners of the clubs, and it really didn't seem like a close-knit family anymore. All the old comics that started when I started, they're no longer there. Maybe a handful are still doing comedy,
right.
But you gotta realize there's competition out there, and the club owners are trying to keep the lineup fresh. So but it's tough where you got established comics that worked a long time, and they need the stage time and to keep fresh, and they're not getting it at their home club here. So,
well, you've also got you got YouTube now, and that's changed the landscape of a lot of stuff. Not just it's changed the landscape of news. Like on Greg's show Friday night, we had that journalist on that did that video of forgot where it was at. It's there in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
and but that guy was a journalist, and he was talking about, this is being used, and we know it because here we are doing like radio talk or political news commentary right here. So this is also the place where the comedians and stuff can hone their skill. We've got a lot of talented people out there that are amateurs because the competition is so steep, but yet they can come to something like this. This is just a new venue for comedy, acting, producing, directing, news.
Yeah,
So
when we were kids, you just had three networks. Now with the internet, you've got a whole plethora of news sources and commentary. And that was the thing about Fox. That for a long time, everybody called them fake news. It's fake news because it doesn't comport with your views, so it's fake. We're just giving you a different view of what the news is. We're actually giving you stuff that the other networks won't tell you about.
Well, and that was a problem with Fox, is because they were known as 20th Century Fox. The movie company. They had, they were in the movies, and then all of a sudden they decided, they had some Fox, TV channels on our what we called independent channels. They came out with that. Then they came out with the Fox News Agency, and that's what threw everybody for a loop because they were conservative. But they still didn't think of Fox as, you still had your top three: ABC, CBS, and NBC. Those were three companies that, well, at least two of them, CBS and NBC, came out of radio. I don't remember that ABC. I don't know the history of ABC that much.
Yeah, I think ABC was more television when that came out.
Television.
There might have been some.
But you had CBS radio and you had all those. Then here comes Fox, and they're coming out of the movie industry. Not that the others weren't involved, because they were producing their own TV shows and stuff like that.
Right.
But they had, you had channels that had Batman and stuff like that, live action type stuff. And yet they had a 5 o'clock news story.
Right.
So they're considered legitimate news, even though they were doing the same thing Fox had been doing for years, But when Fox starts out, that's a competition. It's conservative, so they thought it was fake. Now, CNN is actually one that broke that ceiling for them. I hate to say it, but CNN and Ted Turner. And when CNN started out, it was at least semi-honest,
Yeah.
It was different than listening to, it definitely wasn't Walter Cronkite.
Right.
But, it was more instantaneous, just like we got with YouTube now.
It was more 24/7. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Fox comes along, and they decide to be a network altogether. Not just, they cover everything from the movies to the
television.
They television. They did the full gamut, just like CBS and NBC did. And they have Fox Radio networks too that are conservative too. And when they did that, of course, now they're number one on cable news networks.
Yeah, and then some other new news networks came out, like MSNBC, and then there's CNN,
CNBC.
CNBC. Those are all left wing. MSNBC is way to the left, probably the most liberal out of the different cable news networks. And their ratings are in the tank. I mean, the Cartoon Network has a larger audience than MSNBC. And they don't get it. That if they want to make money, instead of being way out here where only a handful of people would watch, how about move it towards the center and try to pick up some of the audience that Fox doesn't have.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
But they won't do it. They're just stuck on stupid, and they won't.
They're entrenched into their ideology.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Steve points out, he says there's only 6 corporations that own all the U.S. news and newspapers and networks today. And that's, what is it, Scripps Howard? They own a lot of the NBC stuff.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yep, they used to own
because they own our NBC station,
Denver Post.
Tulsa.
Yeah.
They own the Post.
Yep.
Yeah, the Post is the Rocky Mountain News is closed now.
Yeah. The Post is
and they've been closed for quite.
On. They're barely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bare bones now. They got rid of a lot of their reporters and their editors. I mean, they don't even have I don't know if you knew this, but they built this great big plant, the printing plant, out at I-25 and I-70 there, and now that building is vacant. And their circulation went down, and now a price for a newspaper is so ridiculous. It's like, why do I want to pay $1 a day for a newspaper that's just going to give me a bunch of baloney? I don't want that. And advertising. They don't get any advertising anymore. Nobody puts advertising in newspapers. They have to sell subscriptions.
Yes. Yeah. And that's it. Well, it's our own newspaper. They call me up every so often. I said, listen, the only time my newspaper was, I got to where I wouldn't even go out and pick it up. And my daughter-in-law would pick it up on her way to work and then take it in and use it to line her bird cages. And, I mean, literally, that's what it got used for. Mm-hmm. And our newspaper, they dropped their Monday paper. Of course, it was getting thinner and thinner. But they've combined their Monday and Tuesday because, they had the big Sunday with all the ads and, stuff in it. But I get ads from Best Buy. I can get the same deal that was in the newspaper right there on my, right on my phone, right on my app, This and its larger brothers, the tablets, that's what killed print in a lot of ways, because I can get, Steve Carpenter, he has the DLM or DML app, David Michael Lynch, and he can get, I know I do too, I get dinged all the time. I had to shut some of them off because I was getting so many of them, but this gives you any news you need, tells you what's going on in the world, and then places like us. Till I started doing YouTube and doing live shows, I used a laptop or a tablet. I didn't even have a desktop. Now I've got this new desktop that I got a year and a half ago.
Right.
But I only got it so I can do this stuff.
Okay.
It's my broadcast studio.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you have junk mail that has all the coupons and specials at your fast food restaurants,
Yeah.
your local
Right. Right.
restaurants,
He- Yeah.
grocery stores, your big chain grocery store, and your
Mm-hmm.
fitness places. I don't know
Oh
how
yeah.
many times each week I get something. Planet Fitness wants me to join. No, thank you. Right in the garbage. And
Yeah. I always say, if you see me running, you better run too, because somebody's chasing me.
yeah. Well, you know what? And that's the nice thing about where I live. My mailbox is like 3 feet away from the garbage. And I just go out there. Oh, there's junk mail. There you go. You guys just wasted a bunch of money on me. And then I get all
Yeah.
these. Now I'm starting to get a lot of political stuff, and I'm like going, "Come on! I'm a blue collar worker. I don't have a whole lot of money. If I'm gonna donate to a candidate, I'll donate to a candidate. But stop
Yeah.
sending me these flyers. I'll get stuff like, congressional questionnaire." And it's not really a
Right.
questionnaire.
Yeah.
It's a way of getting you to donate money. I see that, and when I
Yeah.
see a congressional questionnaire, there you go in the round file right next to the mailbox.
Did you get your letter from Donald Trump this week?
Oh yeah, and I get those every week too.
Yeah, I got mine this week. I didn't even open it. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, mine
Donald
go
has
all
my
in the
number.
same
He
place.
knows.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Donald wants to talk to me about it. He knows how to get hold of me. He
Yeah,
knows I'm
there you
running
go.
for president too. So,
Mhm.
uh, if he wants to talk about it, I'm just hoping to be Joe Biden. That's all I'm working
There
for.
you go.
Uh, I know the Australians are really fired up about me winning this election because they don't want me for their prime minister. If I don't win here, I'm running for prime minister there. So they're really pushing it. Yeah.
So,
The crap
yeah,
they send
so-
in the mail, but hey, you're supposed to workers working.
Yep. And I should have my mixer by next show, so that'll be cool. So
Oh,
I'll be
cool.
able to do.
You got the Tascam?
That's the one
got
I
that
ordered.
same one
I
I got,
ordered
right?
another one, and I'm gonna cancel my other order because it's just taking too long. And so I found
so you-
someone who's here in the States that has it, and I ordered it from them, and I should get it by Thursday or Friday.
Okay. If you need help setting it, it's pretty easy to set up.
Yeah.
If it's the same one I've got.
Yeah, I
Is it the
think
same
it
brand
is.
as the
Yep.
Tascam?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. It
Two
just,
inputs or one?
just that one input
Okay.
Yep. where I
Yeah,
could
see, I got
plug
the
in
two
my
input one, which
my
XLR. Yeah.
XLR microphone into it, and
Yeah.
I think it'll let you plug in a cell phone or a tablet into it, and then you can do all
Tablet.
the
Yeah.
sound
yeah.
effects. Cool.
Yeah. Get you a tablet or cell phone, and what you'll need there's a little spot to plug it in, and you need one of these. It's
Right.
just
Yep. That one.
it's mail it. Where's the camera? There we go.
Yep.
It's like that.
Yep. I got one.
Mail at both ends.
Yep.
Good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, you'll need it to be the small. It has to be the
Yeah.
small one.
the-
Right. If it's
Yeah. The
does that
1/8
come
inch.
off? Yeah.
Yeah, the 8 inch and not
Yeah,
the quarter
yeah.
inch. Yeah. So
Right. Yeah.
now I'll be all set.
That's what
I
I've got
just
mine on.
upgraded my PC yesterday. I put in a faster processor in, and that was the hiccup that I had before the show because it says, Vmix, we've got a newer version. So I downloaded it, and luckily that loaded quicker. And then I go, okay, let's launch it. and it says, well, you have a different PC. And I'm like, oh, God. I had to go online and delete one of them, and then I told him, hey, I just upgraded the CPU on my new machine, and I was able to get everything working, and here we are. So.
Oh, excellent.
Mhm.
Oh, we've got people just really jumping in here now. We've got Rick Albert, Steve Carpenter, Ari
Yep.
from
Ron is
Remote
here.
Pilots. There's
Agent
Ron
K.
just came on,
Yep.
and Agent K. Yep.
Oh, and Ari is here.
Yeah, he was, because he was saying, I said they were really concerned about, helping me win president. He said, some of us are less concerned about me being prime minister than others, so. Yeah. Well, that's a funny thing, because I've been watching, do you have like Amazon Prime or anything like that?
You know what? I do now, and I watched a movie last night, and I watched.
Oh, did you?
I watched The Fifth Element.
Ah, yeah.
I
love that movie.
I've seen bits and pieces
Really?
of it, and because Mitch basically told me, you gotta go watch it, and now
Oh, yeah. It's
now I get some of the reference, like put your hands on the yellow circles.
yeah.
And the
Yeah,
four
yeah.
stones
That's-
and Zorg.
Oh, yeah.
Zorg is he's the bad guy trying to get the stones, played by Gary Oldman.
Yes.
A young Gary Oldman.
Yes, yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what the heck that plastic thing was on his head, that, and why was he making a clicking noise when he walked? Did he have a pig?
I don't
leg
know.
or
Well, yeah, and what about the guy that has his hair's all
Oh,
about
yeah,
the reverse
that
man
was
bun?
Chris Tucker. Yeah.
Chris Tucker, yeah. That was the
Okay.
first time I seen him. He was hilarious in that movie.
Yep.
Whoop.
Oh, there's Greg. Does Greg want to be on the show? So, yeah, I saw that. Who else? Oh, Chris Tucker was in all the Rush Hour movies, which was pretty cool. So, who's all in? So, hey, we're up to 7 people. Wow, we're almost. And, stream health is red. Video output is low.
Yeah, it's been buffering.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that was that was Mel. Apparently,
Oh,
Ron, you found me. Apparently, Ron was wondering why I wasn't in the chat with Mel, because Mel's doing a live flight, and I said, he says, I'm live, and I said, yeah, I know, I saw that. I said, so am I. I'm on Art Show. He goes, oh, sorry. I think he forgot. Yeah, Mel was calling me to tell me that he was live. Sorry, I'm already live, Mel. Yeah. So, I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if he's going to be doing a live show at 6:00 tonight or not. Now, but
that'll be interesting.
Because yeah, that's not the first time that Mel's called me to tell me to, I almost did him one time like I did you today. I literally, I've not had a cup of coffee. Well, I woke up at 9 and I thought, and I answered my son on a text message, says, I said, when we get up and around, I'll let you know. And said, I'm going to take another nap. He says, works for me. And so I fell back asleep, and I saw it pop up on my iPad. I just happened to was just waking up. It says, Arch Place going live. Oh, crap. Because I saw my name scroll across there with Lloyd, and I'm going, "What's Art talking about me for?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm co-hosting." I mean, I literally just came in here and dropped in the seat and fired her up. And
I think we were doing I was doing the timer when you got in. I thought, oh
yeah,
boy.
the timer was already on. I'm like 41 seconds, and I thought I didn't even have enough time to run in and get a cup of coffee, and yeah. So
yeah,
speaking of what I was going to say, the reason I started on the whole Prime thing is if you want to see some interesting Australian TV, they've got, if you like mysteries, they got the Miss Fisher mysteries. Season 1 and 2 is free.
right.
Okay. They also have a series, it's a 5-season series. It's called Sea Patrol, and it's about it's the border control, the border waters control part of the Navy.
Oh.
And it's called Sea Patrol, and it's really an interesting movie. That's another reason why I slept in so late, because we stayed up last night and binge watched part of it again. So we have to shut it off because it gets you pumped, and it's hard to go to sleep after your heart's been racing. You're watching this like, it's gonna blow up. Yeah, I can't remember. Did they die last season or not? Which season did they die in? Do you remember? No, I don't remember. Let me look it up on IMDb. Yeah.
Well, let's see.
So goes my life.
Is there any other news out there, political news, that we need to cover today? Or are we?
No, because I mean the big thing has been General Flynn, which we talked about in the beginning,
right?
And then how are we going to live after COVID-19? I think masks are going to become for the next year or so. The only other thing coming up that's important is the Dummies National Committee convention,
Right.
I mean the Democrats National Committee. I said Dummies, didn't I? I meant Democrats National Committee. Slip of the tongue there. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I get that mixed up. Yeah.
I think their convention is first, and then the Republican convention is in August. So.
Yeah, well, and it's usually that way. The incumbent has theirs last. They get to. That's the way it's always been. The incumbents get to have the last word. Yeah, at least that's the way it's been the last, 4 or 5 elections, I believe.
Okay. Okay, because I remember.
Jaybird said I was right the first time.
4 years ago.
When I said Dummies National.
The Republican convention was okay. Maybe it's kind of like the AFL. Whoever wins the All-Star game, the winner is the host of the Super Bowl. Or
yeah.
I think they did the same thing in the All-Star game in baseball too. Whoever won the All-Star game, that conference, they're the host of. They got home field advantage. Yeah.
Steve Carpenter did bring up something. He's right. The Schumer documents being released.
Oh. Okay.
Did that talked a lot about? That's where a lot of this clearance of General Flynn came up, and it tells how they knew they didn't have collusion, but they went ahead with it anyways. I haven't looked at it in depth, but it's, they had to. There were people that were interviewed that it was behind the closed doors and you couldn't see it. So Schumer was finally forced to release those documents, And
Good.
once from all the committee hearings, and once Adam Schiff, not Schumer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Because
Schiff.
Chuck Schumer is in the Senate. You're right. It's Adam Schiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm missing something on Schumer documents I didn't see today.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Right.
Schiff having to release those documents, and now if there's something on Schumer, I'm going to have to go look it up. But, but Adam Schiff being forced to release those documents, that was
Right.
a real eye opener,
Mm-hmm.
because you saw what they were doing there. But we all knew it,
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, there is a couple of things that bothered me in he meant Shift. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I listen to Sean Hannity. I don't watch him, but I listen to him. And of course, everything that was in the Shift documents, he'd already been talked about for 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
And but now he's got something new to talk about, and that's the COVID-19. And
Mm-hmm.
he really, I lost some respect for him when he brought in Dr. Oz as his expert, because Dr. Oz has been sued by the FDA for, selling snake oil on his TV show, basically. And
Right.
I don't consider him,
A credible source.
I lost a lot. And yeah, I just, sorry, there's other people out there, he
Mm-hmm.
could have got. I mean, well, he's about as good as Fauci,
Yeah.
Dr. Oz is.
Yeah.
And I think Trump needs to get shed of Fauci or whatever his name is really quick, because that may come back to bite him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's trusting him a lot less now than he was, but
Mm-hmm.
Trump doesn't claim to be a medical expert.
Yeah.
That's why he's a businessman, and he hires people to do that job. He tries to get the best in the field. And this guy, he did have a lot. He did know a lot about COVID-19 because he'd been helping open up the lab.
Yep. Yeah, and he was he worked for the Obama administration. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I don't understand why Trump picks the people that he does. That's the part that I don't understand, but
Mm-hmm.
it always seems to come out right in the end.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's days I'm just scratching my head wondering, what's he thinking?
Yep. Oh, like when he appointed Sessions, and that guy turned out to be a disaster. And then there was Rex Tillerson. He didn't.
Yeah.
He was a disaster, but luckily he's got some pretty solid people around him. I think it's kind of like taking over a new job, and you're trying to learn the ropes and surround yourself with the right core of people to
so
get
it's
things
like
working again.
Yeah, well, like Mitch said, Fauci followed the Who too faithfully. Now, I didn't know he liked that kind of music, but I've never been a fan of the Who, but, the World Health Organization, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that confused all the time, like, what's the Who got to do with the COVID-19? Have they got a song out about it? I know everybody else has put out a song about COVID-19, so.
Unless Horton heard
Yeah,
it.
Fauci. Do what?
Unless Horton heard about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, and I
Japer
want to say
got
hi
his
to
Medicare
Japer.
2 yesterday. Yes. And he got his Mavigare 2 yesterday.
Cool.
Awesome.
Nice. I will check that out, Jaybird, and so we did a little over an hour, so, and I think our
Yeah.
doesn't look like we're still kind of buffering, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to ask you something about that. Do you think it seems like with Vmix we're having more buffering issues? I wonder if it's because we got too many things going on, you know.
No, it's not because I'm running Vmix right now, and
Right.
if you look down at the bottom, I see there's an update available too.
Yeah.
So, did you update your Vmix today?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, but
And
if you look down at the bottom, you look at your GPU use and your CPU, and if you see that you've got a high CPU output, that means you're probably running too much for your CPU.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah. I'm
and
right at about 60%.
but the other, whoa, yours is at 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got something running in the background. You're down, either something's downloading or yeah,
Oh.
you should be running. I mean,
All right. Well, I'll figure maybe after we're done here, you could help me out with that, and maybe we could figure out what's going on here. All right, folks.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for coming to the show. We had a pretty good group here, and we covered a lot of stuff today. So
we did. That's a quick hour.
Yep. And I want to thank everyone for coming down here, and I want to wish everybody a good Mother's Day. And that's probably why it was a little slow today. Everybody's taking care of family stuff. So have a great day, everyone, and we'll catch you next week. Same time, same bat channel. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See y'all later. Bye, everyone.